Rikardo Kaka is considered one of the best footballers in history, one of the few to have won the World Cup, the Champions League and the Ballon d'Or. He's the last Brazilian to have achieved all this, but he suddenly fell into the abyss, which is why in this video we decided to take you on a journey of how a young boy from Sao Paulo became an AC Milan legend, and how overnight he became an unwanted player on the Real Madrid bench. So keep watching until the end. Kaka's professional career began in 2001 when he joined the Sao Paulo first team from Sao Paulo under 17. His fame began the same year and in the Rio Sao Paulo tournament, which was a traditional football competition between teams from Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Started in 1933 and was cancelled in 2002. Sao Paulo have only won it once in 2001, and that was thanks to the brilliance of Kaka. From his very first season, Kaka has made a name for himself in Brazil, and his future in football looks bright. So much so that Rivaldo said of him, "There is a young guy who plays for Sao Paulo called Kaka, who plays just behind the front too. You don't know anything about him in Europe, but watch him if he's chosen for the World Cup." And indeed, in the second season he also shone, and that was in 2002. That's the year of the World Cup in South Korea and Japan, and he was called up. Just to know the value of this call-up, remember that this team was full of legends. They were the best in their positions, and yet he was called up. Although he only played one game against Costa Rica, he caught the world's attention. To find out who this young player was, who found himself a place in the list of this team full of stars, especially as they won the World Cup that year. And his fame growing, he took part in the Gold Cup in 2003 with the Olympic team and led his country to the final. Although they lost to Mexico, several European clubs began to show an interest in him, including AC Milan, Manchester United, Juventus and Bayer Leverkusen. At first, they refused to sell him, but as the Sao Paulo crisis got worse, at the point where they could no longer pay their players' wages. So in 2003, they sold him for just 8.5 million euros to AC Milan, even though the club had initially asked for more than 20 million euros. From the moment he arrived, he was a key part of Ancelotti's team, despite his young age, and although the club was full of stars at the time, especially as the Italian league was difficult and very competitive. In his first season, they won the Serie A title. He contributed with 19 goals, scored 14 and assisted 5, and he won Italy's Best Player award. So right from the start, he convinced everyone that he was a very good player, especially as he could play as midfielder and as winger or striker if required. He could score amazing goals from nothing, both inside and outside the box. Although he's Brazilian and skillful, you don't see him exaggerating his dribbling and technical moves like Neymar or other South American players. When you watch him, you realize that he plays easy football, which means that he dribbles when he needs to and passes the ball when he needs to, and his daring, speed and ability to score goals make him an integrated player who always shines in the games when he's needed. And that's why Maldini said of him, "Kaka is the best player in the world. Every time the match is important, he's there." And also Roberto Carlos said he's the complete modern player. And in his second season with AC Milan, he also distinguished himself by contributing with 27 goals, making 18 assists and scoring 9 goals. He reached the Champions League final, which was the final loss to Liverpool, and whose story you all know, when AC Milan led by 3 goals and Liverpool Liverpool made a comeback and won it. But despite the disappointment of the year, Kaka had a great season, and also in the following season the same thing happened. He contributed with 28 goals, but the best season he presented was the 2006-2007 season, where he led AC Milan to the Champions League final, and again it was against Liverpool, but this time they won it, and he was decisive in every game and eliminated the best teams at the time, including Manchester United, and he won the Ballon d'Or ahead of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. The team didn't stop there. They also won the Super Cup and the FIFA Club World Cup, where he was also decisive. So Kaka left no room for criticism. That's why Pirlo said of him, for 2 or 3 years he was the best player in the world. At one point teams didn't know how to stop him. Also at the time Ancelotti said, he's the second best player I coached after Zidane, and certainly the most intelligent. And Zidane himself said, he's a rare piece of talent, and many other opinions that show that he stood out of the rest. But after 2007, AC Milan entered a financial crisis that forced them to get rid of their best players, including Kaka, and here Sheikh Mansour had just bought Man City in 2008 and made an offer for AC Milan. It was more than 100 million euros and a crazy weekly salary for Kaka, but Kaka refused. But when he found out that AC Milan could not keep him, in 2009 he agreed to go to Real Madrid for 67 million euros, and he was 27 years old. As you know, that summer Real Madrid signed the best players on the market, including Cristiano, Benzema and Xabi Alonso, as an announcement from Perez to revive the Galacticos. But at the time Real Madrid's fans were more excited about Kaka more than any other player, because he was in his prime. But unfortunately his debut wasn't what everyone expected, because he started well in the first few months, but then he injured his knee, which kept him off the pitch. And Real Madrid knew about his knee problem before they signed him, because that summer doctors went to Brazil to examine him and discovered that he had a knee problem that would cause him a lot of injury. But Perez ignored this and went ahead with the deal. So his injury was repeated and Real Madrid won nothing that season, and the media began to criticize Kaka to the point of saying that he belongs to a religious sect that prevents him from taking treatment. But we know that's not true, and things got worse when he played in the 2010 World Cup injured, and his injury got worse. As a result, Kaka suffered badly in his first season, either because of injury or lack of confidence from coach Pellegrini, and things got worse when Mourinho arrived the following season and they signed Ozil and Di Maria, and here the game plan changed to 4-2-3-1, which Kaka had never been used to before, and so Cristiano and Di Maria played as wingers, the position Kaka liked to play sometimes, which meant he liked to move between the center and the wings, but now he can only play here, where he's not free. So Mourinho preferred Ozil, who was comfortable in that position and did very well, which helped the team improve its results. And then he didn't have real opportunity to prove himself to everyone. He had a few good games and scored some amazing goals, but he didn't reach the level that was expected of him. And from here, we can say that Kaka had problems in the beginning with injuries, but then turned into problems with the coaches because of his inconsistent level and lack of continuity. So in 2013, he returned to AC Milan on free transfer, spent the season there and went to the MLS to play for Orlando, played a single season and was loaned out to Sao Paulo. And when his loan period ended, he returned to Orlando, playing a few seasons to retire from football at the end of 2017 at the age of 35 years old. So even Kaka could have achieved more than he achieved, but if you think about it, you will find out that he achieved a lot. And as I said, it's enough that he won the World Cup, the Champions League, the Ballon d'Or and and other titles, especially as her career almost came to an end before it had even started. When as a teenager he had an accident in the swimming pool and suffered a serious spinal injury. The doctors told him that he had been lucky and had miraculously survived an injury that would have ended his career. That's why Kaka always says that it was God's hand that saved his life. So what he achieved afterwards is just the bonuses for his life.